Some interesting new polling data out. Wall Street Journal surveying minority group voting trends. 30% of black men in the 7 swing states will give their support to former President Donald Trump. That's up from the 12% he received in 2020. 30% in the 7 swing states.
Wow.
That's substantial.
Black men are divorcing the Democrats.
Well, I mean, Jason Riley writes about this in the Journal, too, that working class minorities, particularly black men, are more concerned about the economy than they are identity politics. That's a problem for a party that's made identity politics its calling card. A new poll by Axios, in conjunction with Telemundo, finds 42% of Latino Americans support building a wall or fence along the entire U.S.-Mexico border. When pollsters asked that same question 3 years ago, December of 21, it was 30%. Now it's 42%. You know, that's a substantial move over the course of the last 3 years. And so one wonders just exactly how concerned the Democrats are. I hope they're very unconcerned, of course, because I'm rooting against them and working against them. But I mean, just in terms of a matter of politics here, what is it they think they're going to do to bring in the numbers they've historically enjoyed from black and Latino voters? I mean, Trump is competing to win Latino voters outright. And he's not going to win black voters outright, but I mean, if he's anywhere near 20%, that creates a real problem pulling the kind of numbers they need in swing states with big urban centers like North Carolina, you know, Charlotte, like Wisconsin, you know, Milwaukee. And obviously the Latino vote is substantial in a swing state like Arizona and a swing state like Nevada. I mean, the black population in Detroit and the Detroit metropolitan area in Michigan, which may be a swing state before all is said and done. So is there any real internal discussion happening as to what to do for, you know, if you're a Democrat and if you want Joe Biden to manage his way to a second term? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Bret Baier. He is the host of Special Report, of course, weekdays, 5 p.m. Chicago time. And he's also the author of many, many, many bestsellers. The most recent, To Rescue the Constitution, George Washington and the Fragile American Experiment, and a graphic novel entitled The History Club, Duel Across Time. Bret, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
So what about that? I mean, what sort of scuttlebutt do you hear about how concerned Democrats are about the sort of numbers Trump is pulling among black and Latino voters, and if they are concerned, what they plan to do about it?
Yeah, very concerned. There's kind of red warning lights all over the place in D.C. when you talk to Democrats about those numbers. They're more concerned right now about, it seems, the Latino numbers being so dramatically different. Hence why President Biden did an interview with Univision last week, and has gone to the Southwest states numerous times, delivering speeches. But I don't know how effective that has been. It hasn't really moved numbers. As for the African American vote, the black vote, I think that you're right. If Donald Trump moved just a couple of points, that would be a huge difference in every swing state. And, when you're talking about margins that are really tight, probably down to 300,000 votes in about 5 states, that's a big deal.
Right. It's interesting because it doesn't seem like there's any retrenchment in terms of positioning. There's been reporting about this internal, sort of what you were getting to, this internal debate discussion going on in the White House about how to pivot on border security. You had Mayorkas testify the other day and say, yeah, maybe sanctuary city jurisdictions should work with ICE to remove violent criminals, people that are here illegally who've been convicted of violent crimes. Maybe you can make an exception there, sort of what Eric Adams said a few weeks prior. but they seem to be really struggling to find a pivot that's acceptable to their base and would have real impact with swing voters.
Exactly, and they're trying to search for that. I think in the hunt for that, they have been given this gift of Arizona and abortion, and that is really now the focus. And they will send Vice President Harris, and there'll be all kinds of focus on the issue of abortion based on what former President Trump said about leaving it to the states. Only a day later did Arizona have this court ruling that kind of went back to this 1864 law. So expect Democrats to focus on that and not immigration, because they don't have a solution.
Well, in regards to Trump and, courting more black voters, I love what he did in Atlanta the other day. Just went into the Chick-fil-A spontaneously. It wasn't on their, agenda. And
He was hungry.
Well, but he bought milkshakes for everybody, and he's genuine. You don't see that from President Biden at all. He is relating to people.
Right. I listen, Democrats would say that he's good in one-on-one scenarios. We just don't see it a lot about President Biden. You're right. And there are these viral moments with former President Trump in those environments. I think it's interesting. I don't think we have a full sense of where the electorate is, especially when it comes to the black vote. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a tick or two higher than these polls say for former President Trump.
But I just think he should campaign, go to swing states and go to fast food restaurants. What do you think?
I think he'd be all on board for that. Yeah. Well, right. Sure. I mean, the retail politics. Yeah, but also too, I mean, that's not inconsistent with who Trump has always been. Going back many, many decades when he was feted at Jesse Jackson luncheons in New York and given awards for his contributions to the black community through the construction industry. I mean, that's actually who he's always been. He's just sort of been painted because of the identity politics the left has committed to. Painted every utterance as some slight to some minority group, or it's an indication of his latent white supremacism or something like that. And I think more and more people are getting hip to how hyperbolic and, frankly, sans the evidence that is.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I doubt that we're going to see the end of that kind of ad. We know we're in for about 6 months of brutal campaigning on both sides, and it's going to get ugly, and there'll be all kinds of charges on identity politics and everything else.
As somebody who's watched all these campaigns very closely for the last 8 years since Trump has been on the scene, does it strike you that he is, this is maybe an odd thing to say, but I think there is a real break, that he is more disciplined this time around? He seems more disciplined just with things like, like saying about RFK. He's not taking a shot at RFK. He's just saying, yeah, RFK, I like RFK Jr. He's more democratic on most of the issues than I am. But so basically saying, hey, Democrats, if you don't like Biden or you don't like me, go ahead, vote for RFK. I just need to take votes off of Biden. No problem. I'm fine with that. Him saying that the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, trying to depose Mike Johnson, that's a distraction. That's a silly thing. He seems more disciplined in terms of playing realpolitik and not focusing so much on personal slights right now.
Yeah, I think that's this week.
Okay, fair.
A couple weeks ago, he said that RFK Jr. was a super liberal, and was really hammering him on climate change stuff. But I think that at that point, he watched some story about how RFK Jr. may be taking votes from him, and so I do think that overall the campaign is much more disciplined, and he does have more advisors like Chris LaCivita and others who are more savvy when it comes to the political implications of some of the things he says and does. Hence, this meeting with Speaker Johnson at Mar-a-Lago, I think that's a signal that says, get your house in order, House. Because chaos does not sell in the election.
Now, I know you two are both big golfers, and the Masters is obviously underway And I saw some video yesterday of Condoleezza Rice at one of the holes greeting some of the golfers. Is there any way Trump, that would be a brilliant move if he chose her as his vice presidential running mate, don't you think?
No.
Yeah,
No?
of course, but she would never take it. She would
Right.
never, ever, ever, ever take it. So I don't think he would ask.
Well, who's it going to be? What are you hearing?
We've gone around and around and around about the possibilities. I mean, Tim Scott is still on the list and up there, but there are a lot of names that are around there. Lee Stefanik, Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard. I think that he has to see some benefit, but there's also a school that says there should be somebody that independents and suburban women look at and say, this is going to be somebody that's stable, that could be president, that is going to be a stable force that gives whispers in his ear, much like he's getting good advice on the campaign trail. So Mike Pompeo is somebody that gets tossed around. So I think there's still a lot of possibilities, and if I had to guess, it's going to be like The Apprentice, and it's going to go all the way to the convention.
You heard it here first. It's going to be Sarah Sanders. I think it's going to be Sarah Sanders.
All right.
Yeah, I think she checks the most boxes for him. I think. This will be obvious to you, Brett, but I think she has a good relationship with him. Always has. She was a loyalist through the thick and the thin. That counts for him. She's now a governor. She is very room temperature. She's very reasonable. She's mom with a family. She's
a lot of, obviously she's governor now, but doesn't have a lot of, can be president on day one vibes.
No.
But
she doesn't need to be president on day. She doesn't need to be president on day one, though. And and once you're in that, it's sort of like once you're in the presidency, you're sort of elevated. Just your stature is immediately elevated by the office, and so that happens too. So long as she performs as I think she would, she's she's like she's like a female Mike Pence, and I don't really mean that as a criticism, more than just more a description. Contrasting personality types, and I think she's an explainer in a way that he isn't when it comes to some of the issues like you just mentioned, perhaps most importantly, abortion.
Yeah, and I agree with you. She's very good on the stump, and I think that's definitely a name that's in the mix. My point is that I don't think he's going to make a decision until he has to at the very end.
Yeah, that's fair. I wanted to get your take on, speaking of getting your house in order, I assume at the meeting with Speaker Johnson, since there's was some disagreement over reauthorization of Section 702 of FISA, that topic came up, and I know they're going back today to see if they can't come to agreement with the holdouts on FISA reauthorization. So how do you sense that plays out?
I think there's been a little bit of misunderstanding about 702 and some bad blood about obviously how the FBI has handled things vis-a-vis former President Trump. So 702 deals with foreign outsiders that very rarely do American citizens get wrapped into any surveillance that deals with that. And I think that there's going to be an effort to get at least some of the 19 over, but there will be support, bipartisan support. So I think Johnson moves it forward and takes the risk that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not going to do the motion to vacate to get rid of him.
All right, who do you have this weekend in the Masters?
Oh, boy, here we go.
Here we go.
All right, what do you got?
More important.
Don't say Tiger Woods.
It looks strong. Yeah, I think Scotty Scheffler's in the best spot. Obviously, he's playing the best. I kind of like Dustin Johnson as a long
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, he's playing really well.
I got my guy Hovland, who put on that show at the BMW last year. I think I'm going to stick with Victor Hovland, even though we're already through round one. So, but yeah. And how's your game these days?
Coming along, yeah. I'm playing next week in a tournament in Dallas, invited Celebrity Classic, and so it all is getting ready for the Lake Tahoe in July. That's the big thing. If I can finish on the top of the leaderboard, and NBC has to put the Fox guy up there, that's a really good thing.
Oh,
are you
awesome.
a scratch What are you
I'm
playing
a 2.
to? You're a 2?
2.
2 index.
Yep.
All right.
So
Well,
I'm a walking wallet right now. I mean, I'm giving a lot of money away, but
but believe me, yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, I know the feeling too. Right, I'm a 2.7 index that's been shooting in the low 80s. So that's not in the money, as you know.
well,
Bret
we got to
Baier,
play sometime.
Yeah, you two would be
absolutely,
great. Yeah.
absolutely.
Have you had a hole in one yet?
I don't have.
I have had a hole in one.
Where'd you have your? How many?
Just one when I was 14 years old.
Oh, good for you. I had one when I was 22
bit of a dry
years
spell.
old. Yes.
I'm a dry spell. That's right.
You had Amy, you had one when you were 2?
I said 22 years old.
Oh, 22.
Yeah, in Tucson.
2
I'm
would have
just-
been impressive.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah, that would have
be a
been.
protege. Where'd you get your hole in one?
In Atlanta, Georgia, where I grew up, and it's been a long time. Been very close several times, but nothing since then.
All right.
And I know where Dan got his. Tell him, just tell him.
Bull Valley.
I know I pay
up in
homage
Woodstock.
to you every time I hit that hole.
Yeah, no, that was just a really tough course, by the way. The course that Gary Rabin owns. Anyway, look, I don't have Fox News paying for my putting greens and stuff like that, but I'm still, despite that disadvantage, I'm still happy to host you at Olympia Fields anytime, or if you ever get down to Naples, Old Florida, the guys at Old Florida would love to see you. So.
Oh, they're great. They're great. Oh, I'd love to do it. We'll get it. We'll get it on the books.
Bret Baier, host of Fox News Special Report, 5 p.m. weekdays, Chicago time. To Rescue the Constitution and The History Club are his latest bestsellers. Pick them up. Bret, thank you as always.
See ya.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally.